Sahana bhavantu, sahana bhunaktu, sahavidyam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhiramastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namah Shivaya, and welcome to meditation today on Friday. Yesterday, I don't know if you watched the live stream with Catherine and I. We had a wonderful, really, we didn't do many asanas. We ended up talking a lot about dualism and non-dualism, and how dualism really, and non-dualism really tell, like, once we have an understanding of what the two are and how differently they are, that when we say something in the yoga tradition, or we use a phrase or a idea, that if we have real understanding of where it comes from, we start to really understand how it can be used or not used. And it's because I'm having a lot of discussions right now about appropriation and cultural identity and colonization, and a lot of times I'll have a talk with Catherine, and then I'll come over back to you, because we're putting this also on Facebook Live, where the live stream is just on the Jivamukti Yoga Live platform. It's a paid service, so sometimes those conversations don't, there's a limited amount of people who are hearing them because it's a pay-per-view. So I'll bring those ideas to this a little bit. And what I was saying was, and what we got into talking about was the fact that, we have to, as political beings, if we're yogis, start to decide if we're looking at the world from a dualistic or non-dualistic point of view. And when I say that, I mean dualism means, in a yogic point of view, that nature, and when I say nature, I don't just mean trees and rivers and forests and little woodland creatures. Nature, I'm part of nature. This city is part of nature. It's part of the natural world, the tangible material world. That nature and divinity, our higher consciousness, is separate. That they don't exist on the same plane. There's something slightly removed from them. So in a dualistic system would say that nature or society or the world I live in is always going to kind of pull me away from understanding my true self, or my true nature, which is higher consciousness or God, the self, and that misunderstanding, thinking that I'm, Austin, who lives in New Jersey, in Jersey City, owns a house and pays a mortgage, is really me connecting to my ego, and they're separate, and that this plane of existence that I'm on is not real. It's always changing. It's in flux. And it's not really where I want to be. So actually, dualism, the way that dualism is supported in the ancient yoga practices, you would become an ascetic. You would leave your family. You would leave kind of things behind, and you would go to the Himalayas and seek, the self kind of in isolation, so that you could really kind of cleanse yourself of all of this energy that's around you, that's pulling you outward. Non-dualistic systems are different. Non-dualistic systems are saying, look, you have an ego. The ego causes you to see otherness with everything around you. In other words, racism is egoism. Focusing on different people's religion is egoism. And but in reality, there is no difference. Everything, God is in everything. God is in every person. It's in every object. It is in every animal. It's in trees. It's in the water. It's in the sky. Except you're just too ignorant to see it. Your ego is in the way. And so you don't actually run away to the Himalayas and sit in a cave by yourself. You actually start doing kriyas and meditation and practices that actually kind of cleanse the sheaths of the body, the koshas, the annamaya kosha, the pranamaya kosha. You cleanse the sheaths of the body so that actually you reveal your true self, and then because you've revealed who you really are, which is God, then you start to say, oh, everything around me is also God. And this is that concept of the oneness of being, right? Many of you have heard that in yoga classes and have heard yoga teachers say that. We're all one. It's all love. The oneness of being. Well, this is a real philosophy. It's a profound, deep, philosophical point of view of non-dualism. But the term has been kind of taken out of context, in that when people say it, they're trying to convey something to diffuse an explosive situation, maybe, or to get people to calm down. But in reality, the question is does the person say it really believe it? That's the key. That's where the kriyas come into place. That's where the practices come into place. If you believe it, then say it. If you've bought into that sense of yoga psychology, that everything is God, including myself, I am God, tat tvam asi, soham, I am, then yes, the next step is to see everything around you as God. But then that also means that you have to develop an intense level of compassion for those that you don't particularly like. You may even still be using the word hate, right? I hate Donald Trump, I hate, Mitch McConnell, right? Those are, they're fair game. They're politicians and they're public figures, so they're fair game. I hate Nancy Pelosi. Let me just be fair. I've heard that one too. So the thing is that you can disagree with them. You can actually you can disagree with them because once you realize this oneness of being, you realize that they don't know that they are divine beings also, and that they are actually still operating just like you were, out of the ego. The ego is driving them. And so you actually not only, it starts with kind of empathy for them that leads to compassion, that you actually go, oh my God, they're acting that way because they're all wrapped up in their ego. They're divisive in their language and their politics, because they see separation and otherness and us against them, and that they don't understand it yet. And so actually you feel sorry for them. You feel sorry for them, and you realize that the only way to help them along on their journey is to have compassion for them, and to only explode and have constant anger at them is only going to lead them to harden the shell of the ego and use the ego defensively. But there's not a lot of, beings that actually have come to that, realization themselves. That they are God and everything around them is God. There's a lot of yoga teachers out there, and we do it, we just do it because it was kind of the way that yoga was taught to us, that we'll say, oh, we're all love, we're all one, it's all good, don't be mad, don't be angry, and that's actually not really the teachings. So within these systems, we should always know if when we use a phrase or a term, if that phrase or that term is being coming from a dualistic or non-dualistic tradition. And I've heard both be used, and at the same time, within the same class, or within the same thought. And it shows a lack of understanding of the philosophy itself. And two, that if you're gravitating toward that idea of oneness of being should not be used against someone to suppress their frustrations or their frustrations or their anger about a political system, right? And if you're somebody who's embracing that oneness of being, then, somebody who you see as divisive and as corrupt as maybe, a political leader, you can't hate them. You can't, when you hate them, you start to really condemn their soul. Hate and is really destructive energy. So when we say I hate, and then use the name of a politician like I did, that, and I use that because we probably all have done that at some point with frustration. But you can't. You have to see them on that same journey that you were on and have compassion for them. And that becomes the oneness of being. Now, if you're a dualist, then you can say, well, that being over there, it's there. This is just not part of this over here, right? And what's happening in society is not over here. So I got to reject all of this and go find this over here. But that's the dualist system. That is that system of ascetics and nuns and renunciates who run away and go into cloisters and decide not to deal with the world. They reject the world because they know they're not going to change it. And all the compassion in the world's not going to change it. At least that's the way they see it at that moment. So know when you are actually using a term, I don't have a problem with you using the term because of some idea of colonization or appropriation. I want you to have knowledge of what the term is from on an intellectual level, so that when somebody says to you, well, what do you mean we're all one? That you can actually sit down and talk to them and tell them that you believe that you have God within you and they have God within them, and that there is no difference with the subtle energy within the two of you. That yes, you are having a different experience in the body, in the mind, but we're not the body, we're not the mind. And the goal is to see the soul, is to look deeper. And that's what you mean by that. Not some superficial, like, let's get on the hippie bus and sit around the fire and sing Kumbaya. That's not what that is. It's not a instantaneous, feel-good pill. It's actually something that you really have to work hard at and do all of your kriyas, your meditations, your asanas, your pranayamas, your bhakti yoga, your karmic yoga. Your karmic yoga is really important. When I say karmic yoga, I mean real hardcore karmic yoga, not coming in here and cleaning up some mats for a free class. I mean, get out there and help those that are in need. Help the poor, help the people who are being abused by a system. I mean, if you want hardcore karmic yoga, you can do it right now. There's plenty of people in need right now. and plenty of holy beings that you can see divinity within them, but they need, if you can provide, they need your help. So karmic yoga is a wonderful way to start to understand the oneness of being. And we as Americans are not really great about practicing karmic yoga. We don't really incorporate karmic yoga on a profound level into our sadhanas. So just taking a moment and setting up tall, and close your eyes. Now as you close your eyes, the idea of drawing yourself inward is that idea of connecting with the internal divinity, the internal light. It is leaving the external world or the world of the ego behind. So draw your senses inward. Allow the sense of hearing to come inward. Allow the sense of taste to come inward. Allow the sense of smell to become inward. Touch. Sight. And allow the breath to deepen. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. And this is yoga breath. So as the yogi's breath is, it's the abdomen's going to fill, the back of the ribs, the front of the chest, even the clavicle. So it's a deep, full inhale of the prana. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. And notice how as you inhale these deep, equal inhales and exhales, the mind automatically begins to calm. Inhale deeply. Exhale deeply. Begin to focus the mind on the internal sound vibration of Om. Synchronize the inhale and the exhale to that internal sound of Om. Inhale Om. Exhale. Internally equalize the internal sound of Om to the inhale, and internalize and equalize the sound of Om to the exhale. Inhale Om. Exhale Om. Continue on your own. Continue the deep inhales. Continue the deep exhales. Silently tell yourself, I am not this body. Silently tell yourself, I am not this mind. Silently tell yourself, I am not these thoughts. Silently tell yourself, I am not these feelings. Tell yourself you are Swayambakashit, self-illuminating, eternal, everlasting light. Inhale deeply for the sound of Om. Bringing the hands together, rubbing the hands together, building heat within the hands. Bringing the hands over the eyes, allowing the heat from the hands to be absorbed into the eyes. Gently open the eyes, bring the hands across the forehead, the top of the head, the back of the neck. And then bringing the hands together in prayer, bowing down, allowing the forehead to touch the thumbs. Namaste. Thank you all so much for being here today and sharing your meditation practice. I will see you on Monday And if you're in town and you would like to practice with us in the mornings, we've started a morning practice over at Gateway Field. It's a 7:45 setup. It's a 8 o'clock yoga class in the mornings. You can sign up for it online at Jivamukti Yoga Jersey City and buy class packs for the class. And so far we've had about 15 to 20 people show up every morning. It's a nice big field. It's a big, huge soccer field with AstroTurf. Bring your blankets or your props, your yoga mat, water, sunscreen, sunglasses. Even though we're facing west, it's still a little glaring out there. It's a nice area. It's over on 500 Grand Street. So it's an interesting area because the parkway's going right beside us and Grand is out in front of us. So there's not a lot of like people just kind of walking around or dog run or anything like that. It's actually, while we're in the middle of everything, there's something about it that's kind of private and secluded. There's a soccer field there, a baseball field, a basketball court, and another field. And it's city-owned park. Usually the soccer teams and the soccer guilds in New York City, I'm sorry, in Jersey City, they end up using that a field a lot to play soccer on the weekends. So maybe we'll see you at Yoga Asana on the weekdays. We are going to add some classes in the evening after after July 4th. And we'll add a 6 p.m. class. But at this point, the studio is still not open by the state. So this is kind of our answer to getting people back out and doing a little yoga. We will